New Orleans' own Soul Rebels have been having a big year, new music, big shows, and they're even working with Disney on the new Haunted Mansion movie. The band also recorded music for Terrence Blanchard's The Princess and the Frog for Disney's upcoming theme park attraction, Tiana's Bayou Adventure. And while they started out more than 30 years ago as a brass band, the one thing you don't call them today is a brass band.
We still honor the tradition of the brass band, like
And you honor other brass bands.
Yeah, absolutely. Like with the instrumentation and everything like that, we just like go about things a little different way. Like we just try to infuse like more of the things that the guys used to listen to back in the day, what we listen to now, like more funk, like more hip hop, some reggae, some pop, and things like that.
So we just call ourselves the Soul Rebels, and we just tell everybody we're a band. We don't have any specific genre. We just play feel good music. We want you to enjoy yourselves when we're at our show.
We sat down with 3 of the 8 Soul Rebels: Lamar LeBlanc, who's one of 2 original members left in the band, Eron Williams, who you could call the second generation, and Manny Perkins, who is the youngest member of the band. And while the Soul Rebels love brass band music, they always wanted to do more.
So when we would do the hip hop, we would get some stares, like, hey, that's not brass band. And we didn't want to disrespect the tradition. So we kind of were this Jekyll and Hyde act for a long time.
Lamar says a lot of change came from their love of music of all kinds.
Soul Rebels on tour now. Go to the Soul Rebels!
Soul Rebels all the way from New Orleans.
Not to mention the toll it took on them to be a brass band.
Second line work is hard work. Playing the second lines on the street for 4 hours, it's hard work. We did do an album called No More Parades, and that kind of, as Manny likes to say, kind of
Ostracized.
Yeah, ostracized, and people feel we drew a fork in the road, but we really didn't.
Ain't no more parades, we all about the stage.
We were really trying to
Expand?
We wanted to expand, but I have to say, it was a mixture of kind of a political move and music.
The part about a political move, according to Lamar, besides second lining as a brass band being hard, it didn't pay as much as putting on a show. And that was a big reason for their line in the sand, or as Lamar calls it, a fork in the road.
So the No More Parade thing was really trying to say not only something musically, but more trying to get more money for the parades. And it took off. When you put something out there, people are going to give their opinions, and it took off.
And you wanted to be a stage act.
Always.
And because a stage act is you're in one place, you're not marching around, you're playing a show, you got a big audience out there. The bigger the audience, the more money you guys make. But it was back to their roots when the band got a call from Disney to score original music for the movie and soundtrack of Disney's new Haunted Mansion movie.
You grew up watching Disney movies and things like that, but to actually get a call for it and go on set and go in studio to record, like for the soundtrack and everything, it was a real blessing, a real honor.
And remember that line in the sand or the fork in the road? And the album called No More Parades? Well, if it's Disney and they wanted a brass band,
we got together and gave them what they wanted.
Yeah.
But you didn't have to march, and they paid you pretty good.
We did.
Actually, yeah, we did.
And we had to wear the traditional.
And we had to wear the traditional
Actually,
hat with a suit,
black and white.
and
So that
everything.
line in the sand you do, you kind of step back over it.
Yeah.
That's what I told you. It's not that I love brass band. I can listen to it every single day of the week. They get on me about it. I love it. Just like I love hip hop, rock music, reggae, whatever.
We have the Soul Rebels all the way from New Orleans.
The Soul Rebels are on a big tour right now that'll end with a residency at the famous Blue Note Club in New York, honoring the 50 years of hip hop.
I think that's a testament to this group, is that we can go from any genre on any given night. Like, we could do a pop night, we can do a hip hop night, we could do a jazz night, we could do a funk night, I think. And I think that's the main thing that we want to showcase there, is like just the different levels of where we can take this thing.
One thing the Soul Rebels don't want to be lumped into is one genre of music. They're writing new songs all the time and experimenting with new sounds. And that's where Manny, the youngest Soul Rebel, comes in.
That's pretty much what my job was to be, as Lamar likes to call it, the new era of the Soul Rebels. It's to usher in a new energy to actually keep the band propelling forward. Because the band does not want to be stagnant in anything that we want to do as far as new music that we're developing, new shows that we're perfecting. We want to always keep our energy high and always keep pushing towards the next goal that we have set out for ourselves.
The Soul Rebels say they'll always rebel against being locked in a box. Their music is high energy that Lamar calls 8 personalities, but one big force on stage. So don't call them a brass band, unless you're Disney calling with a lot of money. Other than that, they want to be the most universal band in the world. And that they truly are.
And Leslie, I love these guys. They've been coming on the show since they first got started, so that's a long time ago. And if you missed their big East Coast tour, which most of us probably did, they do have a big show coming up at Tipitinas on Friday, October the 13th. And just a footnote to the story, Lamar, who we mentioned is one of the founding members, is also working on his PhD in administration justice. But that doesn't mean he'll end his music. He'll always be a soul rebel. We'll just call him Dr. Lamar from now on.
I love that. Congratulations to him.
And they are a fun band, and a lot of bands have, especially brass bands, have tried to transition into more pop and hip hop and all kinds of things to expand their audience.
I do love it though. Disney called or whatever you want.
We'll go back to being a brass band.